Hello folks, we are now so close to Shucks, but in the run up to that we've got something for you here. These are not editorial pieces this week. This is not reviews, no real opinions. We are just taking you through some of the games that are mostly going to be at Shucks. Exciting, got some great stuff coming up. So without further ado, deeply thematic games.
Space! It's a game.
The Final Frontier.
Yeah.
It's Galactic Renaissance from Christian Martinez. This is a Matago game, and it's kind of the spiritual successor. Well, we don't know. We're just making that up.
Yeah, we're making up nonsense. Well, it's designed by Christian Martinez. It's published by Matago. The stars are aligned. This is going to be like Inish 2.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what it is exactly, to be honest. This is a prototype of the game, and we have...
Really?
Yeah, it is. It's a prototype version.
No, who'd have guessed?
It's being facetious, because people at home might not be able to as easily as us see the visual fidelity quality of this thing. But
that's true.
Obviously, we're excited. You said a moment ago when you look at the manual, like it was Inish but weird.
Inish but even weirder. So, in the future, we're in space, right? But we're all very nice to each other. There's no real combat in this game. There's just a little bit of jostling, a little bit of political intrigue. It's about moving around and kind of not really making deals so much as making schemes. But there's no direct conflict, is what's important in this game. There's disorders, but we'll get to that later. So the way this game is going to work sort of fundamentally is we've got our own little player board and our own little home planet over here, which you can see.
Got one of them over here. We've got this little one with all of the green things of the planet. This thing. I don't know what I'm pointing at.
You have a clue what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Neither do I really. But we'll work it out as we go. These are called institutes, and these are called emissaries, I believe. And they're what you're going to be sending out into the galaxy to sort of have a little go at trying to get everyone to join your galactic empire. But kind of peacefully, not in a mean way. But other people are also going to try and be outreaching into this new galaxy that we're going to sort of explore together over the course of the game. So we've got planets, which you can see here, like this one is called Oddity, and this one over here is called Fuantainamon. And I picked yours for you.
Techno Central.
It's Techno Central!
That's me, through and through. You cut me, I bleed techno.
Exactly. You'll also see that you have this weird little thing here, but this represents the planet's stability. And basically, in the game, the more stuff that you put onto a planet, the more the locals go, I don't know about this whole galactic empire nonsense. And that's what's going to create disorders, which are kind of like conflicts, but you're not attacking each other. The planet's sort of just rebelling against you.
So is this the name of another planet called Oddity? Okay, I like it.
It's called Oddity, and we've got even more planets over there, and they have their own cards that go with them. Kind of like the territories in Inish. And just like Inish, this game takes up a lot of table.
Yeah.
You can see that it's sort of subsuming our little preview table that we've got.
Quada, Oblucani,
Yep.
Huangrize, Trefago, Nemesis, Nitsi, and Fredelige.
You did a really good job
My
of pronouncing
uncle
those.
Fredelige.
So generally, we're going to be exploring these planets, trying to sort of establish a foothold in them by playing these specialist cards that we get. I think these are actually just called operation cards. And we have specialists that we can find by sort of unearthing these foundation cylinders on various planets. So it's a little bit of a deck buildery sort of thing. Everyone starts with the same set of cards, but you'll be adding to it throughout the course of the game to get access to more abilities. Now, what do you do on your turn? I bet you're asking. It's very simple. What you're going to have is you're going to start the game with a hand of 3 cards, and on your turn, just play as many of them as you want. Except for, you've got to be following the little arrow thing at the bottom that says, play another card, please. Right. If you don't have a card that says play another card, that's the end of your turn. You can't play any more cards. What the cards are going to do, we're just going to go through it slowly. We're just going to talk about what these cards do. They're all pretty straightforward. Again, another comparison to Inish. You just sort of explain what the cards are, and that's like most of the game.
And we all just get the same set of cards.
Same set, but we will get one specialist to start with, and we can get more throughout the course of the game to sort of shape our own individual little play
deck
style.
building.
A little bit of deck building, but not loads of deck building.
Just a little touch.
Just a little spice. So the Explorer is going to bring new systems into the game that we're going to have in the central area, and it's going to also connect them to the network with these little portals that you can see here. And you can only travel to planets that have like portals. Oddity, the one we start with, has a little bit of everything.
Right.
So we can always get to, I think this one's called the Hub in the rules. So the Explorer is going to let you discover new planets, but what's good about having a new planet? It's just a little rock in space that you don't really care about. The Ambassador is going to let you take that planet's card, which then gives you a new little ability. Kind of like, again, I'm going to be doing lots of comparisons to Inish, but the cards for the specific regions that you have in that game. So the Ambassador is basically, do you have more presence than other people here? Nab that card, add it into your little thing so you can then play it later on. This Foundation expert over here, he's going to let you find, not create. I think that's like the law. There are these little discs.
Find pods.
Find the pods and crack them open and get some new specialists.
Find the pod.
Which is...
Save the peas. Spoiler for Heroes.
Oh.
It's an old TV show that went bad real fast.
And they found about the peas?
No.
never found
It
the
doesn't
peas.
matter. It's irrelevant now.
Okay. Foundation expert will let you add new cards into your deck so you have more abilities and you can sort of diversify compared to other people. You've also got the Institute Director, who will let you sort of establish permanent bases on the planets, these institutes that you have here, and crucially, these things will let you draw up a bigger hand at the end of your turn. This number here is how many cards you're going to have, which just expands your turn so you can play more and more and more and more.
I see.
The last thing we have is the Senator, and that's going to be how you score victory points. So over the course of the game, we'll have these mission cards or dominance cards that will come up, and you're going to basically send off your emissaries, these little meeples over here, to go and live over there forever, being, I don't know, emissaries, but you'll get a big splash of points when you fulfill those criteria. And one of the ways the game can end is just by having a bunch of points, but another way the game can end is if you have 12 or more points. I'll go over this now, because this is kind of similar to Inage. It's got slightly knotty victory conditions. If you just top out on points, you win. But if at any point you're 12 points ahead of the next person behind you, then you win. Only if you're first, obviously. You don't, not if you're like second last or whatever. And then the last one is if you manage to get like a big splash of points all in one go, you can win the game in those series. So these shifting victory conditions are always going to be interesting. Like, where can they do a dominance thing? Where can they help the Senate or whatever? And you can try and spot when someone's going to.
And the
sniper.
same people that you're ostensibly maybe sending to planets that also wanted the Senate.
Exactly. You're sort of dwindling your sort of total workforce.
They get into politics and they ain't coming back.
Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is stability. Basically, you see all these spaces here. You can technically have unlimited pieces on a planet. You can have as many as you want. But as soon as you have more than this planet's tolerance for nonsense, you're going to have a little bit of a disorder. It's not a fight. It's just the people being like, can you leave? And you go, okay. But the way this works is actually kind of, again, similar to Inish, where you have this weird little dance where you have three options of what to do. You can either remove one of your emissaries on a planet, get rid of it, or you can move two of them to a different planet. So it's, do you want to get rid of more but keep them alive, or just one and bank on other people getting rid of more? Kind of interesting little game of chicken there going on. And the last one you can do is you can remove an institute, one of your little thingies, and then you'll lower your hand size. That seems quite bad. Or you can play a disorder card, which is a special kind of one of these, which is like kind of like a combat card, but more just to hey
deal
guys,
with the problem.
Chill out here.
Hey, don't worry about it. I've got this cool way of solving this problem.
But what's interesting here, though, is that when you have more planets, someone might move some of their emissaries to a different planet, which will then cause a disorder, which you'll then have on that planet, and so on and so forth, and have this daisy chain of all these different problems cropping up over the galaxy.
So it's not so much that you're starting fights; it's more that like you're just causing unrest by going on holiday en masse.
You're doing
in a way that everyone else is like, oh.
It's like aggressive admin is happening. Aggressive interplanetary admin. I think that's basically all the bases covered. I may have got some of this wrong because I didn't like the rule book is just paper.
Yeah, and also it's a Word document at this point, and also the game is still a prototype, so it may well change.
Things may change, but looks really interesting. I'm
very interesting.
really excited to give this one a go. I think I covered everything there. What a strange little box from Mexico.
It's Galactic Renaissance. Excited to see this one when it's done.
A Renaissance man. Tell me about the galaxy.
Well, the galaxy is huge, Tom. It's absolutely unimaginably big. It goes on forever. And within one galaxy, there are many universes. Now, this is Starship Captains. This is a game of basically being kind of Star Trek people. In a way, we're all just trying to be Starship people the best.
Set phases to fun.
Yeah, it's pretty chill. It seems like it's, I'm embarrassed for you as well.
That's okay.
But it's done now, so we're just going to have to move on. Effectively, what we're going to be doing in this is we're going to be moving our starships around the map board.
Along these little star trails.
Yeah, and I should point out that this is a prototype of the game. This is not like the final assets, final things. I think the pieces won't be... I like these cardboard ships.
They're cute, aren't they?
Fair, so I don't know. Anyway, you're going to be able to move around the galaxy to different places to do different things. You're also going to be able to activate your ship with each player having their own little ship board in front of them, which represents their cargo, all the things they can do, and of course, their staff. Now, what are staff for? doing jobs.
Oh.
A lot of the game is going to be about activating your ship, which allows you to do everything else.
Right.
So that allows you to move around the galaxy. It allows you to shoot pirates because yes, there are pirates in space, and get some technology. You're going to see that we've got these little boards in front of us, which are
that's what
basically
these are.
Yeah, these are our
Oh,
little
there's a big market over here
boards.
with.
And then over there we have a
technologies.
market of technologies,
I
which we
understand.
can be unlocking to do cool new things. And then also we can repair our ship.
Right, and those seem to correspond to the colours of our little
Somebody here has been looking up colours.
I've played a board game before in my time.
Can you do all three of them?
Red, yellow,
Yep.
green.
Yeah, well done.
Oh.
Well done, Tom. That was really good. I'm really proud of you. So basically the way this works is you can use a red piece, for example, to activate the red ability or the grey ability. So these folks basically can do the dog's body work.
Yep.
Which apparently is repairing a spaceship. It seems, I mean, fair
Seems
enough.
like skilled labour to me.
Yeah, right. You've also got these, I believe they're cadets. I think of them as a sort of interns, I guess, which basically they can only do repair jobs.
Oh, okay, I see.
But
And they repair the damage over here.
yeah, so you can see that in our little cargo bay slots, we start with 3 damage. So you can be repairing some of this damage from your little cargo bay, or you can be collecting more and filling all your cargo bays with damage.
And when you fill your cargo bays with damage, you get a bonus?
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
It's
okay,
probably good.
There was a siren out there for the damage bonus. Don't know if it
Damage.
picked it up, but that's cool.
So I hear you scream into the void of space where no one can hear you. How does this work? Well, the thing is, this is your ready area, right? Which is basically where the staff you have are actually kind of chilling out and able to do things.
Yep.
Which means on your turn, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to tap a person onto that. I'm going to do a movement.
Oh, I see.
But then immediately, to remind myself afterwards, after it's done the action, it's going to go to the back of the queue,
Yep.
right? Round here, which basically is there.
Uh-huh.
So this is the queue of staff waiting
their
desperately to
turn.
go to work.
Please, can I fix an engine, please?
Please let me go to work. So you do that, you move your ship to a different location, and you can see here that other things you can do with these actions involve taking on these missions.
Yep.
On this main board, we've got a whole bunch of things. We start on a space station, for example, and there's other space stations we can visit, which are represented by these boards.
Oh my
Which
goodness.
allow us to go around these spaceships and space stations and move around and do things on those things.
Fun little merry-go-round.
Right. Also, technology cards are sometimes going to give you new actions that you can then put people onto.
right.
Getting your own little kind of tableau of things that you can do on the turn. And then obviously as well, you've got pirates, you've got missions to achieve along the way. It's got a thing where basically if you have flown to a planet, for example, and you have a mission that you can achieve, then someone else can go to that space, but you've kind of sit on the planet as if to go this is my mission,
Right.
go away. So you can't turn up and out Picard someone at the last minute and be oh, you've done it again, you bald bastard.
Done scrapyard nonsense.
Bloody Picard.
I don't know anything about Star Trek.
Well,
Will this game teach me?
no.
Okay.
But it does seem to share a similar vibe. So effectively, you're going to be able to have these little people that are going to get added to your pool. They're going to queue up, getting ready to go to work. Also, you're going to have little rings. Can't find them there somewhere, but basically you're going to be able to upgrade these people, right?
Okay.
Which means you're going to be able to take your little interny person
Oh.
and either give them a promotion to one of these specialist types that I've got a large pile of here, or give them you put a ring underneath them and they become a kind of commander. They basically go straight up. It's like their graduate program or something.
It's like this nepotism, basically, isn't it?
It is. It is. They basically
Space
just
nepotism.
go, oh, I guess you're the son of somebody, so now you're in charge of the whole ship. And those people have got powers and can
Right.
do extra things as you'd expect. The fun thing about this, though, is the way it works in a round is you're going to keep going until you've basically used all of the characters you have available in your ready area, which are just one by one going to get added up here to the top. And then what's going to happen is you're going to push them all through until you just have 3 people. So you're always going to have the last 3 actions that you take, you're not
Right.
going to have access to next turn.
That's cute. That's
Which
a
is
cute little
kind of
system.
interesting. There's an
Very
interesting
tactile
little thing.
as well, that little pushy little conveyor belt
It's
thing.
satisfying, and to be honest as well, a lot of space games are based on squares, and it's nice to see people doing some curly stuff, because actually in reality space is quite
Most board games are quite square. Now
They
I
are.
think about it.
But
People are
space
afraid of
And
circles.
spaceships, like UFO is the original spaceship.
Yeah, and it's round.
100% circle. those
Pizza
things.
in the sky, big metal pizza. What about these golden boys? Do they look cool?
Well, I'm glad you asked. These are androids. Now, androids, basically, interestingly, you can send them. They exist in your little pool, hovering around, asking people about emotions. Please tell me, what is it like to be a human?
I want to be angry.
I want to do all the human things, and I mean all of them. Basically, they activate a thing. It happens in the first episode of Star Trek, all right?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't hide this anymore. This does a thing. Androids do things, they do them really well, but then they disappear. They're basically one shot.
Oh.
Look, they don't fit.
They don't fit in the conveyor
They don't fit
belt.
into the conveyor belt, which means basically they are great, but they are one shot and they're done.
And they go off into
don't
the
go to
across
sleep
the Rainbow
like everyone
Bridge.
else. And really, this again is a prototype. We've not really had much of a look at this, but I'm interested to have a look at this because
Yeah.
it seems like
Quite sandboxy, doesn't
quite
it?
a sweet little sandboxy adventure thing.
Yeah.
Everyone going off, doing adventures, collecting medals, spending the medals, getting cargo, spending the cargo to be a good space person.
In space.
In space.
That's Starship Captains.
Starship Captains. Next up on the world of Shucks previews, we have got Sorcerer's Arena.
Disney's Sorcerer's Arena, Epic Alliances.
Didn't feel the need to mention Disney.
Core set,
because when we start to look at this quite closely, it is quite clearly a game by Disney.
You got all your favourite Disneys in this one.
We got the Disney Mermaid, we got the Disney Mouse, we got the Disney Sexy Bad Man.
And the Disney Shrek.
Disney's. And so, how does this happen? I mean, frankly, this looks to me a bit like it's kind of like there's a bit of a war going on here.
There's a
We've got
war between the
big
Disneys.
board.
Yeah, this is like kind of not really a deck building game, kind of a deck construction game. You're going to mash together your characters and you're going to have a big fight with each other to take over these big spaces that will give you
£5.
£5.
So that's a £5 coin.
That's a £5 coin. We got £5, we got £1, we got tokens, we got curses.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
I mean, this is fabulous. Let's carry on.
Okay, right. So, shall I explain you how an game works?
Please do.
This is Disney's Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliance's core set. It's for 2 to 4 players, and we're going to have a little fight. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose our characters. No, you don't get to choose your character.
Okay, that's fine.
I've chosen for you.
Because we've got established I am Ariel,
Yep.
the Littlest Mermaid, and the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey.
Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, which does suggest there's going to be other Mickeys coming to the game
The Mickeyverse.
very, very soon. What you're going to do is you're going to take your characters' cards.
Yep.
All the different characters have their own different decks that you're going to mash together, and then you're going to create a killer team of Disney and Pixar pals.
We under no circumstances should let Gaston have the trident that of King Poseidon. I feel like that is just asking for trouble.
Yeah, for sure. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to shuffle this big old deck together, and then we're going to draw a hand of some cards.
Gotcha.
How many cards? You can see on your little characters, you've got 2 cards for Ariel, 2 cards for Sorcerer Mickey Boy, and 1
Only one.
for Graston. So you're going to have a hand size of 5 cards. Look at that, I can do
3, 4,
addition.
5.
Whereas I'm going to get 6, I think.
Okay, great.
Draw up your hand, and then we're going to play the game. What we're going to do first is bid for turn order, but again, Matt, you don't get a decision because I've already done it for us. You're going to start by activating Gaston. And also at this point, if you've got any weird like special effects that have happened to you, like flustered or immobilized or shrunken. That's my favourite one so far.
I mean, strong and cursed. I mean, I just feel like it's like rating years.
Or broomed.
What's going on with 2022? Strong or cursed, or it's a magic broom. We've got a lot of options.
Yeah, and what you're going to do is you're going to activate Gaston. You're going to go through this handy little reference sheet. Now, here's a fun thing. This game is actually designed to teach itself to you over the course of several games, but we're going straight in with all the complicated stuff. It's not that complicated though, it's fine, don't worry. So once you've checked out your status effects, made sure you're not cursed, made sure you're not immobilized, you're all good, you'll then move on to the rest of the game. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to draw a card. Then what you're going to do is you're going to move, do an action, or do a skill in any order of your choice with the character that you're activating. So you're activating Gaston.
Gaston.
Let's talk about moving.
Got it.
You can move up to Gaston's movement value, which as we can see,
He's got, how many legs has he got? 2. Classic.
Certified regular. What you're going to do is you can move that many, and you may also discard a movement card to boost it by an extra space. If you want to give
with
Gaston
the ones that have the little movement.
the little movement arrow on it.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move 3 spaces with my Gaston.
1, 2, 3.
Damn.
Well Gastoned. You may also, when you do movement, you can just spend some cards that will have actual like movement abilities on them. They'll say like move 4 spaces and do a cool flip or something like that.
Got it.
So Gaston's moved up. He's trying to get to this big old gem space. I don't think it's called a gem space. It's called like a
Crown
victory
slot?
point crown slot. If you hold those at the end of a round, you're going to get a little dribble of points, which is nice because you need points to win the game. But let's talk about the other stuff that you can do. So you've done your movement. Let's talk about the extra things you can do. The second thing is an action. What's your standard action? It's biffing time, baby.
Oh boy.
Let's say that Aladdin was on this space. You want to give him a little bit of a biffing. You'll see on Gaston's card, his standard biff is 2.
2. Same as legs.
Same as legs. It works exactly the same way. So you can do a standard attack that will do a standard amount of damage.
And we also have cards that basically have the symbols on that
Exactly.
effectively like let us do biffing instead. So I can discard this card in exchange for un biff.
Yep. Or this card does some kind of weird biff that has some special powers on it.
Biff with a swirl.
Biff with a dragon. Depending on your biff in value, you're going to take some big damage on this little circular tracker that you can see at the bottom here. So currently Aladdin is on 9 health, but if you biff him all the way down to none health, where does he go? In the bin. You put Aladdin over to this side. And that's the second way that you can get points. Way number 1, getting points here. Way number 2, doing a big biff. You can see that Aladdin is worth, as a trophy, 6 points.
If you can keep him for your very own. So yeah, that seems like it's basically a kind of area control arena game.
Yep.
Where you have to hold positions or biff characters with the deck
A little deck
drawing thing that is involving mashing up characters.
Yeah, you can combine a bunch of different characters together. You also have a little skill system, so your individual characters have cool skills.
Yep.
And another fun little thing as well that I think is kind of cute. You'll see that on the bottom of all of these cards, they have these tiny little symbols that are called gears. And basically throughout the course of the game, you'll be playing a bunch of these little gear symbols on the bottom of the cards to upgrade your characters. So you can see that Aladdin here requires 2 of the red gear, 2 of the blue gear, and then you flip him over, and now he's
fully geared
a
up.
big old superpower.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole paragraph of text. Imagine what that did if I had read it out. Who knows how good it might be.
And let me tell you, Matt, if you're sick of these Disney characters, you can have more.
I thought you meant if you're ill.
If you're ill, treat
can
yourself to thrills and chills.
I mean, that's often like when you're feverish. Thrills and chills is the name of the game.
Or turn the tide.
Turn the tide of the illness that you have.
It's got David Jones. It's got Lilo and Stitch.
It's underground box.
Yeah, and it's got the Moana.
So how many characters are in the base box?
8.
Yes. 8 characters.
8 iconic characters.
There's already a bunch of mashing up in the base box, and then there's some expansions.
And you can mash it up even more. And this one has the sea as well. Tiles for the sea.
If you like Disney and fights,
Yeah.
then this could be the thing to look at.
Yeah, if you like maybe games like Unmatched, this might be the kind of thing, but it's got hexagons instead of circles. That is Disney's Sorcerer's Arena, Epic Alliances, core set, and the expansions from the OP games.
And Mr. Disney.
And Mr. Disney.
Thank you for watching. See you next one. Bye.
Bye. Up next, we have Sniper Elite, the board game from Rebellion Unplugged. And Matt, you are a sniper.
I am, and you are a Nazi.
Not again.
That's not true. He's a collection of Nazis, and I am trying to shoot him repeatedly for fun and for bag improvements.
Oh yeah. Shall I give you your bag now?
Yes, please.
So this is a hidden movement bag building, kinda, just for one player, all v1 game. You can play it with between 1 and 4 players, or one person plays as Dr. Sniper and his Nazi killing gun, and the other person plays as the Nazis with their Nazi killing guns.
A range of them.
Yeah, a whole smorgasbord. Essentially what we're going to be doing here is playing a hidden movement game on your little board here, where Matt is going to be moving around this board trying to complete objectives, where I am trying to stop him. We've put Matt here to start off, which is there on the board, nice and confusing.
I would have been stuck on that one for a little while.
And on Matt's turn as the sniper, he can move between, I believe, none and 3 spaces. But if you move 2 or 3 spaces, that will alert any guards that they've heard a noise. So Matt could very easily move here, here, and then here, and he would get right up behind that guy, maybe ready to shoot him, but he'd hear you doing it.
I can leg it if I'm not near anyone, right?
Yeah, exactly. You
But
can
if
just,
I'm running past someone, then someone goes, "What was that?
what's
Out
that
of the window.
noise? It's very video games.
So I could leg it over here. So I could 1, 2, 3, and you would hear nothing.
Yeah,
and then
all
you'd
the
be
way
like,
there.
"Have I snuck in there?" But you don't know who I am. This is here just for like kind of the
For illustrative
illustrative
purposes only.
But obviously, in the game, I would not be on the map here until I had been founded.
Yeah.
So I would go secretly. Well, actually, I could just go 1, 2, but I'm going to go 1, 2 there. I'm being an idiot here.
Yeah, you're being a clown. Because Matt hasn't noticed that these big spaces, there's an interesting thing going on here where you have these long lines which are just all one big space. So Matt can go 1, 2, 3, but then as the game continues, you might have a situation where these big routes are going to be patrolled by the bad boys.
Exactly.
So Matt can do that, but what else can you do? You can shoot people.
Yes.
Matt has a big bag that is full of tokens that he can pull to kill an man.
Yes.
So the way that this works is that Matt pulls tokens from the bag to try and hit a person. If he pulls enough aim tokens from this bag, then he'll do some damage and kill my little Nazi officer.
So if I was secretly here, then I could shoot this character from 2 spaces away, and it means that when I'm pulling tokens from out of the bag, I'm going to need to get 2 hits.
Yep, 2
However-
of these aim tokens.
Yeah, the more I pull out of the bag, though, the chance of me misfiring or being loud increases.
Yes.
However, and this is a little rub that's quite interesting, if I don't really want Tom to know where I'm shooting from, then I might say I'm going to pull 4.
Whoa.
Because I might get away with just 3.
Yeah.
I could say 5 or something.
You could pull
And
so
then
many tokens.
It may well be that he thinks I'm a lot further away than I am. I could be
Exactly.
right next to him.
Exactly.
In this instance, I'm going to say I'm going to try and pull 3.
3 tokens.
Okay, so the first token,
Oh.
right? Second token,
Hey.
that's what I need.
So you've managed it.
No, because that one,
Oh, that wasn't the real one?
that was a dummy one, wasn't it?
Oh.
Oh, that's not good.
Now this isn't the worst. It's only 2 or more of these noise tokens that would reveal your position on the board for everyone to come and give you a big old hit. And it's only 5 combined noise and misfire tokens that would cause you to also get revealed and have a big token on the board. But you have just missed.
But if I had managed to kill this chap, then I would get to add another aim token into my bag, making it more likely that I would hit things in the future. And if I kill one of these ossifers, these more like important chaps, then I get also a suppression token, which cancels out noise.
It does. It means that you're more likely to hit on future pulls from the bag. Now, there's some stuff that will give you away and add more noise tokens to the bag if you get spotted by one of the Germans, or
don't
if
like
you
that.
do an objective, because you're going to need to do 2 to finish the game. And also, we should talk about a couple of more things that Sniper has. You've got tools at your disposal that you can use to like give yourself some special action, and you've got a few other different tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the baddies?
Yep, baddies.
So, on the baddies collective turn, you're going to be activating each of your squads, the black, the yellow, and the red squads, in whatever order that you fancy. You can move them around the board, and you can do various actions that will let you sweep, or search, or scan spaces around your offices to try and close the net down on the
At which
sniper.
point I look at the board for far too long and go, ooh, am I there? Am I there? No.
And I'll be very...
But the ship is a man.
is one man with a big, long gun.
And then you bring out dogs, and I get scared,
Yep.
and things get a bit feisty.
We've also got these special roles, as Matt just alluded to. So we have a radio operator and a medic and a sniper that all have their own special abilities that you can bust out later on during the game. As well as this, we've got these tracking cubes that we can use to plot out lots of different places that we think Matt might be.
Yeah, because I think an interesting part of this is the fact that the movement and the shooting, you can kind of do it in any order you want.
Yes.
But you don't have to tell the other person what
Exactly.
you're doing. So they know that you've moved and you've shot, but
In what order, and when did you do it? And did you
where?
even move at all? Because you can just stay exactly where you are.
a lot of big questions.
So that's basically all of Sniper Elite, the board game. You've got 2 maps in the base game, and there is also an expansion called Eagle's Nest. We don't have that here, but I'll cut to some nice B-roll of it right now. Wasn't that some luxury B-roll of Eagle's Nest, the Sniper Elite board game expansion box?
You filmed that, Tom. You did. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Future Tom. Yeah, it's Future Tom that's going to have to film that. Thanks, Future Tom. And thank you, Rebellion Unplugged, for Sniper Elite, the board game preview video. On to the next one.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boys, Matt and Thomas. And on this preview video, we're looking at a game that actual YouTubers and Twitchers love to play on.
Twitchers everywhere. They love it.
They love it. It's Dead by Daylight, the board game. What is Dead by Daylight? It's a game where one person pretends to be a bad guy from a film, and they go around murdering lots of people who are pretending to be children or teenagers from...
Children?
Well, teenagers. I think of teenagers as children.
Toddlers from famous movie franchises.
Peggy 12. It's very popular. It's just like simulate a horrible horror film where
someone just murdering everyone. Yeah. And this is made by Level 99 Games in collaboration with Behaviour
yourself.
Who are the people who make Dead by Daylight, Da Video Game. But that's not Da Video Game. This is not Da Video Game.
No, this is a board game version of the video game.
Which is why it's called Dead by Daylight.
The board game.
The board game.
We've clarified that.
We're doing so good.
And this, of course, has horrible people in it who are going to murder people. But
Just
how
like the video game.
does it work?
You've got one person playing the killer. Our killer is the Doctor. And everyone else is, they seem great, they seem fine. And everyone else is playing as, I know, freaky, right? There's a whole bunch of killers just out of shot.
His actual name is Herman Carter.
Oh, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He just does this on weekends.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is playing as Survivor. I'm playing Meg Thomas. Who are you playing? I picked yours especially.
Ace Visconti.
Oh, yeah.
Visconti. Ace Visconti.
Ace Visconti.
Sounds like a type of fancy biscuit.
It does. It's a delicious Italian
It's got a biscotti vibe.
So what we are the survivors versus the killer. Normally you would play this asymmetrically, where you have one person playing the killer and 4 other people playing as all of the survivors. They're working together against the killer in a sort of asymmetric thing. There's a whole rule about communication where you can talk about whatever you want around the table, but the killer will always hear you. Very spooky.
While you discuss spoilers about current TV shows.
Exactly. But the game says we can't say. So what you're going to do on your turn is really simple. You, as a survivor, you have these movement cards. The killer has a set of movement cards as well that are identical, except the killer also has a wait card, letting them lurk in their space. You, as a survivor, are going to pick any one of these cards and smack it face down. The killer is going to pick 2. They move twice as much as you and do twice as many things on their turn, so they're a little bit harder to beat. Once everyone's played all their cards, we're going to reveal them and take the actions associated. The movement cards, incredibly straightforward. They just show you what kind of space you can move on. I really like the art here where you've got sprint, where he's doing a little sprint, you've got crouch doing a little crouch, vault doing a little jump, and sneak doing a little jive.
Jazzy sneaking.
You move along that kind of space to go into that thing. So if I played a vault, I would go whoop and move from the scrapyard north into the labyrinth.
So we've literally just got here the ways you can only jump into the labyrinth.
Yeah.
But you can also run into it?
You can.
So that's not true. You can't jump into the snack bar.
Yeah, not yet. But you could jump into the snack bar from the old shack.
Obviously.
Vault, I should say. When you turn up in this space, you then get to interact, which basically is to do with these little prop tokens. We have 4 different flavors: green, red, yellow, blue. And they all, when you go into a space, you're going to flip one of them, and you can choose whether or not you want to interact with that prop. So the crow, which is like this one over here, would let you take another turn.
Right.
There's other things like lockers that
Bit
you
of
can
wood.
hide in. Bit of wood.
Just a bit of wood.
That's a pallet that you drop on the sort of interstitial spaces in between spaces to block movement for the killer.
I thought you can make yourself a quite rustic coffee table.
A tiny little fort, maybe, to protect yourself.
Coffee table.
Yeah, little. Okay, definitely coffee table.
I think that's what the Doctor's after, really.
That's what Ace Visconti is going to make.
Ace Visconti, a master woods person.
Artisanal coffee table creator.
I'm enjoying, you can't see this on the camera, but I'm enjoying the fact that you got on the player boards, name of the character, and underneath in small font, their like description. Whereas with the bad guy, it's the Doctor, it's the big one, and then Herman Carter small, and that intones that Herman Carter is sort of his job.
Yeah. By day, I'm Herman Carter.
What do you do?
By night?
Well, I work in Herman Carter, but I think of myself as the Doctor. I mostly play golf and murder on weekends.
Yes. So you're generally you're just going to be moving into space, interacting with the thing that's in the space. There's a bunch of different interactions. I won't go over all of them.
Yeah.
But there are various different things that you can do with the goal of ultimately powering up this generator. Ding, 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 ding. I went the other way. Ding, 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 ding. And then opening the gate to escape. The killer, on the other hand, is coming over to do big stabs on you. If the killer is in your space, they can interact with you and
interact with you in the way you don't want to be interacted with.
And they'll give you a wound, which is this little ring that you can see. It's
a bit jammy.
On this character. A little bit jammy. And if you're wounded, you can be carried to the infamous Dead by Daylight hooks. And you can get all
I can
hooked
see
up.
the hook tokens.
Hooked, lined, sinkered.
Everybody getting hooked up in the hooky business. I do like the jammy goriness of that. I think it's quite a silly take on blood that I think is quite fitting for something that is a drastically nasty game thematically, but is also just very deeply silly.
It's quite camp, isn't it? It's a very sort of It's silly.
And I'm realizing now that I haven't played the game, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's what they do in the game. They switch the generators on and then escape.
Yep, it is the game, but in board game form.
I think the safest thing to do, frankly, is to have gates that aren't powered by generators.
No, that's
just
true.
Open them and leave whenever
Just
you like.
a regular rusty gate. It does say in this that you're not in just like an scrapyard. You're in the trial.
Oh, I see. So it's a custom sort of
Set up by kind of like organisers.
sort
By
of like Saw situation.
yeah, the doctors set up a spooky rigged labyrinth for you to have a little bit of fun in.
It's good to have hobbies.
It is good to have hobbies. That's Dead by Daylight, the board game.
By Daylight.
I feel like we did a pretty good job of getting to the core of this.
I think we've really hooked the viewer in.
Hello and welcome to a Shucks preview of Lands of Galzyr. Lands of Galzyr has you adventuring across the land of Dalmeria, or the bit of it that's called Galzyr. There's a lot of those sort of fantasy names in this. This is the same setting as the game Dale of Merchants, a weird little deck building game with lots of lovely little animal illustrations, and this is a land of animal people. I've decided to be a sailor, the River Kingfisher. And look, they've got a little thing that is cute. The board gets set up and cards distributed to kind of start the beginning of a quest. This is a open world sort of adventure game with lots of little bits of storytelling and reading. There's a whole library of cards to contend with, as well as a web app that gives you little bits of story that reflects off all of those cards, giving it quite a lot of flexibility and quite a lot of different things that can happen in it. As we've set this up at the beginning of the game, we don't even know where these people are because I haven't read their stories yet, but there are 3 quests for us to start doing. It is June, so it's going to be my birthday soon. We've decided to do it co-op rather than competitively, except we haven't because we're probably not going to play it right now because we're doing a preview. These little purple tokens are quest markers that are scattered throughout the land, assigned to each of these cards. If one of my characters can get to one of those places, I can do that quest and start the story of this whole quite complicated machine by the look of it. The core of the game is these little bits of story and the classic skill check mechanic that in this case works using some lovely custom dice. You can always roll these back basic dice, which have one of each of the skill symbols on there. If you're trying to do a task, you want to have the matching skills. What are the skills? I'm going to have to look in the manual to remember them. There are 6 skills in this little ring. There's thievery, might, survival, knowledge, communication, and perception. Each one linked to the ones adjacent to it. So if your perception is good, you'll also be better at thievery and communication. Oh wow, that's me, isn't it? These skills go in a little circle and you can actually slot in these little upgrade tokens, which means that you'll be better at a particular thing. This is cool though, because the way that works is that each of these dice that match the colour of the things that you're slotting in will have doubles of the symbol that you're slotting in and a little bit of the ones beside it. The implication here is that some skills like help you with other things. Like I can't believe this is an adventure game that seems to model transferable skills, but it is cute and everything's colourful and there's weird little icons on it. Speaking of weird little icons, these tokens are there to help you register things that will happen on specific days as a result of the story. Honestly, the thing that struck me whilst looking through the rulebook here is that I'm not entirely sure how this game is going to work, because so much stuff is in these books of stories, in these cards. I think there is probably going to be quite a lot of sense of adventure, because you aren't going to know when you start what you're doing what is going to be the end result of it. But you know that the game is tracking what month it is, which means you might be using the summer board or the winter board, depending on what time it is. Like, there's room for different months to change and stories to move on and evolve. Whether any of that's any good, I'm not going to give you an opinion on, but you can take a look at the Book of Stories online and have a little sample. I think there's even some sample chapters in there so you can get a sense of what it is. At the time of recording, the Book of Adventures is still in a bit of a prototype phase, and so it's got a little warning telling you that it's not all finished yet. There's a lot of nice accessibility options in there, which I was just looking at. You can have it read to you using a text-to-voice generator. And you can change the print, you can make it so that there's music playing while you're doing stuff. There's all sorts of little details that are in there that could be really interesting. I don't know. I'm excited to see what is going on in here, because there's cool things. Look, it even comes with this little menu that is a guidebook to the region. So if someone's getting bored during setup, you can give them this and they can tell you something about Arhin or Miratu or Tashuni or Hazembe, or the person who wrote the guidebook. Like, there's a lot of cute things in here. I particularly like Boomir, the marbled polecat, who looks like he's trouble, frankly. Rules for what you actually do on your turn are quite simple. You will take 2 moves, moving 2 spaces around the board in whatever direction you do, and then wherever you end up, you will do some sort of story. This could be an event from the deck, something specific to a quest that you've already taken, or a mark on one of the city areas on the board. A lot of this will be able to change as the game goes on. So there's a little save slot in one of these things that takes all of the cards that you've got out and keeps it for the next game. So there's a very easy campaign system here that should pay attention to what you're doing and hopefully tell you a long-winded dramatic fantasy story about a polecat. Worst Nick Hornby book ever. This version of the game is the retail edition. There isn't any fancy exclusive bits, although it's worth noting that this little journal for keeping track of your games however you like, and this fancy dice tray are optional extras. And that's Lands of Galzyr. I hope I get to go on an adventure there one day, and I hope it's good. Thanks. Bye.
Doctor Who, I barely knew her. This is Doctor Who Nemesis, where you are the baddies. Now, a lot of the time, when you have games where it's like, but you get to be the baddies, it's actually not as interesting as being the heroes and defeating evil.
Right.
But in the case of Doctor Who, I think arguably the kind of baddies, in some cases, are the best thing about it.
They are the best thing. They are the best thing about Doctor Who.
I mean, you know, it's up to debate. But anyway, this is a game where you get to be the baddies and try and decide who can be the best baddie available. However, Doctor Who's, and I mean that in a plural sense, are still knocking about. You've got all the doctors are potentially getting in your way as baddies throughout time and history with their increasingly dapper or strange demeanours. You're going to get to choose in this game to be one of 4 types of baddies. We have the newest, really, in the grand scheme of things, not a classic, a modern classic, the Weeping Angels.
I'm going to be the Weeping Angels.
You want to be Weeping Angels? Take the Weeping
please.
Angels board. We have the Cybermen. I'm a big fan of the Cybermen. They are quite frightening, I think, in a cold way. We have the Master.
And the various iterations of
the Master.
Yeah.
And various iterations of the Master's power and control over people. Mainly just messing with the Doctor. And we have, of course, the Daleks pictured here. Some villains and the Daleks. It's the police. It's just yeah. It's just there's some modern issues.
Oh,
yeah. I mean that's just my opinion, not the opinion of Doctor Who or the makers of this game
or the BBC.
So I in this am going to play as the Cybermen. I think so. You've got your little Weeping Angel board.
I have.
I'm going to whack the Cybermen board here.
Can I have some Weeping Angels cards?
You can. You take that deck.
Hell yes.
And treat yourself. And I'm just going to show you one here. If we budge that down a little bit.
On our silken tablecloth.
Absolutely frighteningly sexy tablecloth. The way this game works is you're going to have your own deck of cards, which is going to be made up of the type of thing that you are. And in addition to that, you're also going to have some random doctors that are going to get added to your board to be kind of everyone's problem, but potentially your problem to control.
A nuisance.
A nuisance that's yours.
Okay.
A nuisance you own, like a dog.
Yeah.
So we're each going to take 2 of these. You get to be, you've got Peter Capaldi.
Woo!
And a man with a monocle I can't remember the name of.
Lovely.
And I am going to take David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston because I like them both.
You're a modern man.
I think they're good. What we then do is we go through this deck here and we would find the cards that have the matching faces on. These would then be added to our deck as well. And then throughout the game, we're going to have the chance to kind of play these hero cards to different locations. Now, why would we want to be playing hero cards? Well, the answer is we kind of do and kind of don't. Each of us on our own boards has 4 different locations that we can go to. In my instance, I've got the Ruins of Gallifrey, I've got Earth, brackets the past, I've got the Cyber Ship, and then I've got the Cyber Tomb, which is what I'm going to call my nightclub.
I've got the Maze of the Dead, the Hunting Grounds, the Byzantium Starliner, and the Crack.
Crack. On your turn, you have to go to a different one, and there's 2 actions on each place. So it's kind of like an action circulation thing. You can't just stay and do the same actions over and over again. You have to plan ahead and think, where am I going to go next time to do what I need to do? Then you're going to be playing cards from your hand to do things, sometimes instantly, sometimes having long-term effects. But a lot of it comes down to having minion cards that you're going to be playing from your hand. So I'm going to have my Cybermen, for example.
And I've got my
have
Weeping Angels.
You've got your Weeping Angels, and I would play a minion card to one of my 4 locations, and they could just live there for a bit. Instead of playing a minion card to my table, though, I could choose to send a minion from one of my locations to any location on the board.
Oh my
that
goodness.
includes your location.
There's Cybermen in the Crack.
Who could have foreseen this? Now, it means that after you've done this, if there's anywhere on the board where you have a conflict with another player, or a doctor, or heroes,
Right.
then you can choose to activate a kind of a biffing session. A
I
fight.
love a biffing. Yep.
Very simple how it works. On the bottom of the cards, you've got like little numbers that effectively are like, this adds +1, this adds +0. That's not much. And also the characters themselves on the character boards, which are reversible, all have their own little powers and their own base combat kind of ability. And then at the end of all of that, after you've done all of that adding up, you then just roll a dice. And you've just got a little d6, you both roll that and you add those numbers. So there's always going to be a big spicy slice of luck at the end of it, but you can mitigate that quite a lot with cards and abilities.
Crafty card play.
Now, if you beat another villain in a fight, then you basically, their cards just get swooped away, you defeated them. But the main thing is, if there are heroes there, right? If we, for example, have some heroes, and, they're called heroes, but they are all pretty much like
The Doctor and pals.
And pals. But if you've got, say, this is a scheme, so that's not quite right, but if we have a hero doctor backed up by a hero companion, then it means that if you want to try and win this area, you have to actually beat their number. So they don't get to roll a dice, but they have got a base of 13.
I see.
So if you don't get higher than 13 whilst attempting to do a thing in that place, then you've been foiled by the flipping doctor again.
Not again.
But if you do beat the number, then you get to capture the doctor. And that's kind of what working towards winning the game. Is
I see.
You have your schemes that you're playing, which are things that you play to the top of your board that show other players what you're trying to do to win the game.
Yeah.
But then you can also just capture a bunch of doctors, and that's kind of a part of it. There's a nice competitive edge to it, though, in the fact that you can have a thing where, like, we could both go to an area and have a fight because we're both trying to capture the doctor, in which case it's who gets the highest amount.
Who gets to biff the Doctor the most.
Yeah, and there's a very nice small rule that I enjoyed, that if you end up and you're completely balanced, it's a complete tie in power, then it just means that the doctor slips through the gaps. Which means you're too busy fighting and they're just nope, didn't get me.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah. So that is effectively Doctor Who Nemesis. If you like the idea of being the bad people and trying to capture multiple doctors and putting them all in a box and keeping them in your house, then maybe check it out.
If you like the idea of defeating the Doctor and ruling space and time, that's what the box says right on that cover.
Yeah.
Cool. Matt, do you want to roll and fight?
Ooh, can I choose one or the other?
No. Only both. In Vengeance, Roll and Fight Episode 1, and we've also got Episode 2 over here as well. This is a roll and fight game.
Right.
Where you're rolling dice, and you're fighting bad guys in a lair. A den, I think is a technical term.
Yours
in this
looks
game.
like a shed. Actually, it looks
Mine's
like
kind of
church.
or like an oldie-timey saloony kind of vibe.
It's definitely a church.
I think yours is a garage.
Yeah. So do
entirely
you want
sure.
to fight someone in a church, in a shed, or in a garage?
And that's the preview. Enjoy Vengeance Roll and Fight today.
We've got a tremendous quantity of dice on the table here.
We do. We've actually got about half the recommended daily intake of dice. There's even more over here if you want to play with 4 players, which is what this game goes up to. You can also play it solo. So anywhere between 1 and 4 can enjoy bashing a bad guy on his bad bonds. Do you know who you're fighting?
Limp Oscar.
A truly villainous name.
Shout out to Limp Oscar.
I'm fighting Don Zeman and his monkey.
And Limp Oscar.
What we're going to be doing in this game is mostly rolling gobs of dice. We're going to do 4 phases in 4 different rounds. The first phase, nice and simple, preparation. We're going to roll these 3 dice, and then both of us are going to take its little effects, which kind of allow us to prepare for the big fight that we're going to have in this round. What can you do? You can train up, get an experience to unlock more skills like backflips and headbutts and bloodlust. You might get more health so you can take more hits in the fight. You might get items that you can use as special one-off boppers to bonk people on the head with a stub-nose revolver or a tequila face smash, etc.
I've got like smoke bomb, beta blockers, shurikens, and cantrips. Or cant trips, depending on whether or not you're being positive or negative.
So once you've rolled these preparation dice and prepared, done some training, done some items, done some shopping, it's time to do the rolling phase. But what we're going to do, we're going to take 4 dice to start with. You've got your little pile of 4 dice there.
Got it.
And in real time, we're going to start rolling them. Okay. Now, there's
knives. So many knives.
I've also rolled almost all knives.
That's
entirely knives. When you roll the dice, you're going to use these to activate your abilities on your board later on. Right. But there's one hard and fast rule. You cannot re-roll these little wounds. There is a little special way you can do it, which is if you assign to abilities, or if you heal later on, or if you take permanent damage. But generally, you're going to roll these dice, and then you're immediately going to assign them to abilities. You've got 4 basic abilities at the top of your board. You've got dash, you've got punch, you've got fire, you've got charge. And what you can do is you can say, hey, maybe you're going to assign 3... Ooh.
I need 3 knives.
Maybe you're going to
somebody.
Maybe you're going to assign 2 of these little running dudes to your dash, which means that in the next phase, you're going to be able to dash. You're going to be able to move around. Now, you might be thinking, oh, but Tom, I've rolled 2 of my 4 dice. Do I get any more? Yes, Matt, you do. You'll always replenish your dice pool up to 4 dice after assigning to abilities.
Right, okay, cool.
So, if you can imagine, the flow of the game is rolling this big handful of dice and going, and assigning to the board, grabbing more, taking them, rolling them again, and continue doing that over and over and over and over and over. Make sense?
Yes.
Assigning in real time to then plan how you're then going to bust through this.
So you roll,
big den.
assign, you take more dice, you roll, assign, and we keep going until we run out of dice?
Exactly.
So you might use more dice than me.
Yeah, if I'm faster and better.
You definitely are.
Once you're done with all of that, you then move on to the fighting phase, where you're going to go through this layer and you're going to activate all of the different actions that you had sort of assigned previously. So if you can move between rooms, go through the little doors to fight more stuff. If you shoot, you can do some punching, you can whack some guards.
Punch a man.
Different guards have different abilities, like blockers, which are these yellow ones, mean you can't move out the room until you've dealt with them. Tough guys who've got 2 green, you got to, guess what, hit them twice. Not just once,
Boof,
but
boof,
twice.
double biff, and then presumably you cross them out like that.
Yep, to say that
indicate that you've killed a man.
you've done killed a man with a big X. You're going to keep doing this, whacking dudes, until you sort of resolve your abilities. This bit isn't in real time, you can take it however you want. But there's a nice little interplay here, right? Of like rolling the dice really, really fast, and coming up with a quick plan, and then being able to execute it nice and smoothly. There's little objectives in the rooms as well for doing certain things, and you tick off the rooms that you've visited until your ultimate goal, which is the big boss. Mine is Donzerman, yours is
Limp Oscar.
Limp Oscar. Once you get to them...
It's not his fault. Once we get to that...
Yep, you have a big health tracker for the boss. You're going to knock off all of those different healths until they are done dead, which is going to get you the mega points.
Right.
In between, that's basically like the kind of vibe of the game. That's kind of the whole thing that you're doing.
Yep.
You're busting through this, you're whacking people. It's kind of like an action movie rolling, right? You've got new abilities that you can unlock that will let you do more complicated things. There's a nice little health system that I didn't really get into, which is, you know how I said that these
you can't re-roll the wounds.
Yeah, you can't re-roll them, but let's say you've rolled nothing but wounds. What you can do is you can sort of permanently damage yourself to keep rolling. And then in the preparation phase, you can do a bit of healing if you've taken too much damage.
So it's basically you keep them, but then you can take more dice, but you might just end up
dead, fully dead. And you'll see that you've got a little
fully dead marker on it.
And you'll get fewer dice if you take big wounds. You can die twice. Sekiro, vengeance dies twice.
In the shadows.
Yeah.
Careful not to die twice when you're in the shadows.
Is that the rule?
Yeah, I think that's definitely.
Is that the rules?
Should we just do some rolling some dice really fast for a minute?
Let's do it. You ready?
Because I want to do it.
3.
Right. One sec. Well, I'm not ready, Tom. Don't do this.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. I've still got stuff on my board. I'm going to do a big gun.
And then 4 more dice?
Yeah, well, you always have to be rolling 4. Knives. I've not got enough moot.
What happens if you've already assigned to a box? Can I add more?
No.
Oh.
No.
Bloody
Sekiro Shadows
moron.
only roll once. Oh, God.
And I have to assign all of these before I can get more?
Well, no, you don't have to assign all of them.
more?
You can just keep re-rolling. You just can't re-roll wounds.
Okay.
I've taken some wounds, so what I can do is I can put one of them as a permanent, then re-roll the other one. Oh, I need more. Okay, I've got enough knives. I think I'm... Oh, no, wait, I need to get more dice. Oh, God. Okay, right, knives. Moving.
Knives. Knives.
Stabbing.
I've got so much moving and I just want some guns.
I think I just re-rolled the regular dice, but that's fine.
Okay.
Are you struggling?
Yeah, I've got so many wounds. I'm basically in a lot of trouble here. I should be right.
Have you been doing it properly?
Yeah, I have, I think. Too much to my chagrin. Mistakes. I was trying to get more guns, but I couldn't find enough guns. Look at all these wounds. And then we would spend these things to go around and be like, well,
Yeah.
in this instance, I just
Moved.
dashed and punched.
Punch. Yeah, that's all you did. We also didn't do any preparation.
Yeah,
which
that
we
probably didn't help.
probably should have done that one as well.
But the important thing is that I'm now dead.
Yeah.
So,
At last. The big long sleep. We'd do that 4 times, and then that's it. Well, if you die, you're dead for good. But
In
you'd
the
be
game.
rolling fewer dice. Yeah, if you die in the game, you die in real life, of course. Do it for 4 rounds. Whoever has the most points, which you get by doing objectives and killing stuff, is going to be the winner. You'll notice that you've got another board. You
whole
just flipped
bunch.
it. Yeah.
I flipped it.
There's 2 per thing, and there's loads more in the box.
Snooker.
Yep, the snooker room. I've got sort of a big bathroom.
That is classic warehouse.
That is a
just
classic.
absolutely textbook warehouse.
That is GoldenEye
That
warehouse.
is definitely a church. There's a
Yeah.
book on a table. You don't get them outside of churches.
Also, if you're done with all the heroes in the box, you're done with all the dens, you might want to invest in Vengeance Roll and Fight
Part 2.
Episode 2.
It's a box with more things in it.
I think these are both entirely standalone. Pick whichever flavour that you fancy. That's Vengeance Roll and Fight from Mighty Boards.
Cheese or Cool Original. Or if you're in America, Ranch.